Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome to Friday Forum from Pathstone Enterprise Center. We're excited to have you. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. If you guys want to, you can go ahead and take this opportunity to network. You can put your business name and your website or social media links in the chat. Make sure that you get to know everybody who's here and take this opportunity for some free marketing, some free promotion. So feel free to do that in the chat, please. Got some people coming in, some people bursting through the doors here on Zoom. Wonderful. I see Sylvia Blackwell. Hey, Sylvia. Let's see. Nativia. Oh. Ava, you were one of the first people in the waiting room. We're glad to have you. Thanks for being patient with us as we get started. Amanda Irwin, I know a Beyond Profit person when I see them. Sandra Gibson. Sandra, how are you? I hope you're feeling better. Y'all can feel free to come off mute and say hey if you want to. You don't have to, but you can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was...
No. Anybody, not just you.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was talking and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. There I go.
We're going to get started in just a second, y'all. That's my Indiana coming out, y'all. So. Yeah, for those of you who didn't hear me the first time as you were coming in, take this chance here in the first few minutes of the forum to market yourselves in the chat. Put your business name, your website, your social media, LinkedIn profiles. Put all those links in the chat. Get to network with some folks. Tell them what you do, why you're here. Even put in the chat what you're hoping to get out of this. What questions do you have about setting goals and putting them into action? Maybe here's one. What goals do you have for 2021 as a business owner, as a leader, as a member of your community? What kind of goals do you have this year? We may even give you a shout out as we go through this. So please feel free to tell us what you're up to in 2021. You're getting a lot of activity over there in the chat.
I can't get in.
Fastinia, just so you know, you are on my call sheet today. So you'll be getting a call from me. I saw your question. All right. Cool. One more minute. Take this time to, for those of you who continue to come in, which is great. This is wonderful. As you come in, put your business name in the chat, put your website, social media links, questions you have, whatever you have in the chat. Start networking with the people around you in this Zoom room, and maybe tell us some goals that you have for 2021. What are you looking to do as a business owner, business leader, entrepreneur, community member in 2021? All right, and I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Happy Friday, everybody. welcome to Friday Forum presented by Papstone Enterprise Center. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is the second forum that we've done this year. We love doing these. Personally, these are my favorite events. We get a lot of information in 60 minutes. We have today we have 3 fantastic panelists who have come to share their expertise and their insights with you about setting goals, putting them into operation, putting them into action. And it's going to be a great opportunity for everybody to interact and converse and talk about the different goals we all have and how we're going to put them into action. So we'll get into a few housekeeping items real quick before we get into before I introduce our panelists. But the biggest thing is to engage with us. We want to make sure that you engage with us and you do that in whatever way you feel most comfortable. That can be through the chat, which tends to be the best way because then we have a record of it. I can see the chat light up as people put stuff in there. So please, if you have questions or comments, or if you want to mention again your goals, put them in the chat. Like I said, you can put your your business website, your LinkedIn, your social media links in there as well for people to like and follow your pages. But yeah, go and put your questions in the chat. That's the best way to engage with us. Or you can bring yourself off mute. You can talk to us out loud, person to person. You can do that. If you're more comfortable that way, that is equally as cool with us, as acceptable. So if you're not coming off of mute, if you are not speaking, we ask that you stay muted just so it cuts down on some of that chatter. So just keep your microphone muted. It makes the conversation that is happening a little cleaner because we do record these and we want to make sure that everybody can hear them now and on the recording. If you can, please use a headset because that again cuts down on any kind of chatter that may come out of the speakers as you're talking and then reverb or whatever, I don't know, audio. I just know that it gets messy if your microphone interacts with your speakers the wrong way. If you're comfortable being on camera, please turn it on, but please know that we are recording this. This will go up on our YouTube. So your beautiful faces will be on the internet forever and eternity. But we'd love to see your smiling faces. It is Friday. From what I'm seeing, it's sunny outside. So it's a great way. What a great way to end the week by seeing more smiling faces. Give you a real quick pitch about Papstone Enterprise Center. A lot of you know who we are, but I'll give you a refresher course. We are a nonprofit community development financial institution, which means we are a mission-based business lender and technical assistance provider. So we work with businesses to make sure that they get the financing they need and the technical assistance, direct assistance they need. We can do loans from $5,000 up to $250,000, anywhere from 5 to 7 years and 7.5% to 9.5%. I need to update my slide. And then free technical assistance. We'll talk about what that means. Technical assistance is, think about it as almost like free consulting. And I'm sorry, I'm letting a few people in here from the waiting room. But technical assistance, there's a few ways we do this. First is things like this, our business development educational series and workshops. So things like our forums, things like Beyond Profit, which is going on right now. And I know we have a lot of Beyond Profiters in the room right now. So hello to you all. I'm glad that you made it back here after last night. What a wonderful class we had last night. So much information. Our other workshops like She Means Business, which is coming up at the end of March. If you'd like to register for She Means Business, I know one of my team members is going to put that in the chat here real soon. If you want to register for She Means Business, if you're a woman looking to start a business, or if you're in business and you're looking to work in a cohort of like-minded women or women who are going to change the world with you, please sign up for that. We'd love to have you. We have a lot of people already registered. It's going to be a great class, great cohort. We also have one-on-one assistance with industry experts. So that's one-on-one direct TA, where we bring in consultants, CPAs, web designers, marketers, and they work directly with you one-on-one. And that is at no cost to you. That is, we bear all the financial burden of that. And when I say free, I mean free. We're not out here, expecting you to fill out this card so then we can send you marketing things for, marketing material for things you will have to buy. No, everything we do is free. And if anybody ever tells you that if anybody ever tries to charge you for what we're doing, they shouldn't be. They're wrong. We have great sponsors and great funders who allow us to do this stuff free directly for you, provide these services directly to you for free. We also do mentoring and coaching, and I'm sure we have one or two of our mentors and coaches. Well, I know we have at least 3 of our mentors and coaches on here today. So, and then also networking. Like I've talked about, this is an opportunity for you to network with business owners and entrepreneurs and community leaders, just like you in the pane next to you, in the Zoom pane next to you. If you want to learn more about the Pathstone Enterprise Center, please check us out on the enterprisecenterinc.org. That's our website, or you can follow us and interact with us on Facebook and on Instagram. The handles are there on the slide. I'm going to let a couple more people in here from the waiting room. So today we're going to be talking about setting goals in the new year and how to put them into action. Everybody has goals, and it seems like, we get into March, April, May, even into November, and we're like, oh man, I had that goal on January 1 or, April 15th, I had all these goals and I didn't really do anything with them. How could I have done things better? Well, today we're going to talk about the importance of setting goals and then how to make those goals come to fruition. And we have 3 fantastic panelists with us today. We have Yasmin Mattox from Arkatecht. We have Rochelle Edrington from Vpro Sales and Marketing. And we have Dan Abbotoy from Venture Herd, and they are all going to, I'm going to let them all introduce themselves here first. So Yasmin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, certainly. Thanks for the invitation to join you all this morning. So my name is Yasmin Mattox, and I am the founder and CEO of a company called Arkatecht. It has nothing to do with architecture in the sense that you all know about. We create web-based professional advancement tools that really are designed to meet the needs of working parents, yet can be used by all. My story is pretty simple. I grew up in New York, specifically by way of Harlem. I came up to the Finger Lakes region for college, saw how amazing of a region it is and how many opportunities there are here. And so I have been up here since graduating college. Certainly my husband, who is diagonally situated from me, had a lot to do with that because he is a Webster boy turned man. But love Western New York, love the Finger Lakes region, and I'm happy to be with you all, and I'm here to answer any questions and help any way I can.
Yasmin, thank you so much. Happy to have you. Looking forward to hearing everything you have to say today. Rochelle Edrington, would you like to say hey to everybody and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to, be here with us. I do want to thank Pathstone for allowing me to come and, share a little bit of what I know with you all. So Pathstone is so great. So yes, my name is Rochelle Edrington. I am the owner and founder of Vpro Marketing and Sales. What I do is I help consultants connect with and convert their ideal audience by implementing a simplified digital marketing strategy that supports their sales process. I've been in business since about 2016. I tell people entrepreneurship really been in my blood since like 2nd, 3rd grade, when my dad initially did not allow me to eat dinner because I had to look up entrepreneurship in a dictionary, and I was a spelling bee whiz as I thought, right? And I'm looking up A, right? So that's a whole story by itself. But, I went into business really because I wanted to create a lifestyle around my motherhood journey. I have a 5 and a 3-year-old, so you can only imagine how busy I am as I also try to grow my business, but we'll get into all of that later. But yes, Vpro Marketing and Sales. I can't wait to chat with each and every one of you.
Rochelle, thank you. And thank you for doing this. We're excited to hear what you have to say as well. And Dan Abbotoy, and there's a few other guys in the room, but we are quickly learning that the men are the odd men out here. We have a lot of women in here who are just kicking butt and looking to get as much knowledge as they can. So it's intimidating, but Dan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'd love to see that. I love the diversity in the room. That's what making positive change is all about. And so I love this. So I'm Dan Abbotoy, born and raised in Buffalo. And I'm a med school dropout. So I went to medical school. Before that, I worked at Roswell. My whole background was in science and medicine and cells and genetics and all that fun stuff. And when I left medical school, I came home and I couldn't find a job. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to invest in myself and I'm going to start my own business. And that led me down this basically path to become a serial entrepreneur. And currently I'm the co-founder of Venture Herd. John, my other co-founder, I see you are on here. And what we do is we have a calendar of events that have everything in the Buffalo area and even some Rochester events to help people connect so you can come to events like this with the goal that from these events, you're going to meet some new people and maybe you're going to start a really cool business that's successful. So not only am I doing that, I'm in the process of launching a new app. It's a website called The Food Court, which is basically like Tinder, but instead of matching people to people, we're going to match people to food for those moments where you're hungry, but you don't know what you want to eat. So basically that's me in a pretty big nutshell. And I'm looking forward to connecting with the rest of you and learning more.
Awesome. Dan, thank you so much. Looking forward to the conversation we're going to spark here, and let's get into it. And before I ask the first question, I want to let everybody know that if you have questions, if you have responses to these questions, put them in the chat. And if you feel so moved, if you have other questions, you can come off of mute and ask those questions directly to our panelists. We'd love to hear from you. We want this to be a bit of a Q&A and engagement and provide for engagement here. So please feel free to engage with us and ask those questions and give your own responses. So I'm going to start with the first question here, and it's going to go to Yasmin. And as I do that, I'm reminded that if you guys go to in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and hit view, you can go into speaker view. So you can see just one pane of the person speaking if you want to do that. But Yasmin, I have a question, and then the other two, feel free to jump in. What is the importance of setting goals as a business owner or leader?
So that's a great question. It's one that also leads to several others, right? So several other follow-ups. The most important part, and I would say two important parts. First, you have to have some kind of aspiration, some kind of goal or goals. If not, as humans, just by our very nature, we tend to be just wandering around, right? If we don't have something to really have as a North Star to focus our attention and direction on. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, in life, in pretty much any activity, but certainly in business, you can't have a good sense of what you've actually accomplished unless you have some objectives, right? That's the starting point. And so whether it's your first dollar, first $1,000, first $1 million of revenue, whether you're trying to see if you're going beyond revenue and break even to getting profit, you have to have a starting point as to what your objectives are. And certainly as a leader, you need to have objectives that are not merely focused on your business's ability to survive and then to ultimately thrive, but also to have objectives that are related to interpersonal dynamics, so that when it's no longer a team of one and you have your first hire, your fifth hire, etc., you have the type of framework that allows for office or workplace harmony, so you can get more done.
Great answer. Dan and Rochelle, how would you feed off that answer or answer your own way?
Yeah, so I would I definitely love what Yasmin said when she mentioned about the importance of setting goals so you kind of measure your progress. That's important. And that leads me into why I think goal setting is extremely important. We all know that we live in a world of distraction. And when you have a business and you run a business, it's not going to get any better, especially if you're starting out as a solopreneur, because there's so many different avenues of a business that we have to juggle. right, in the beginning until we scale our business where we're hiring people. So when you are setting goals, it keeps you focused, most importantly. And I say that setting your goals is almost like your unofficial business plan, because you need to be able to have, like Yasmin said, you need to be able to go back and write down why I started. Because, even when I think about in my field of marketing, so many people get caught up in like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this. But if you have those goals in front of you, put it up in your bathroom, put it up, whatever you go to every day that you see often, on your mirror, whatever, it's going to keep you focused. That's most important. The third reason why I think setting goals is very important as well is, I don't know if anyone has read the book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. My suggestion, every business person should read it. It talks about the law of attraction. If you want to get magical, right? Like, I always tell myself, what if writing your goal was like that? Just remember like when you were a kid and you believed in fantasies, right? What if writing your goals just was like, if I wrote it 100 times, then it'll come true. Like, I kind of trick myself into thinking these things. And I have over 30 journals where I've been journaling and writing my goals since high school, middle school meaning, and I'm living out my goals. So it is very important to write goals, to keep you focused, to ultimately to sum that all up, to keep it focused so you can, bring it into fruition.
Yeah, and I guess I would like to just build on everything that has already been said. But for me, I kind of use goals as a measuring stick as to what my capabilities are. So, it's very easy. And I like to think about, like, let's say running, right? You want to run a marathon. How do you start? You figure out, okay, can I even run a mile? And then you run a mile and you find out, can I run 2 miles? And so it's the same thing in business. You sit there and you go, okay, I have a new idea. I want to get 5 new customers. Maybe you get those 5 new customers really quickly and you realize I could have got 10 or 20. And also on the other aspect, maybe it was really hard to get those 5. And it really shows you kind of where your limitations are and where your limitations are not. And it allows you to continue to grow personally, whether it's, in business or just who you are as a person.
So Dan, we'll start with you. We've talked about how, setting goals helps us measure that progress and keeps us focused. But once I set that goal, how do I take action then to meet it? What are some actionable steps I should take to meeting my goal?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that's really important is you have to figure out, are you looking at a extremely ambitious goal? And if that's the case, what I like to do is set up kind of smaller goals that I know are obtainable, right? So let's say I want to start a $1 million company. That's a really ambitious goal and it's gonna be really hard to do. So what do I do? What I do is break down that whole entire process till I'm almost at that core foundation. What do I have to do, right? Do I need a website? Do I need social media? And from there, I just, start doing those little things. And I find that once you start doing those little tasks or achieving those little goals, it really, before you know it, you're already on that path towards that ultimate goal that you're looking for. So I guess for me, it all comes down to just setting up more goals to reach that end goal, but making those goals much more attainable in the long run and the short run.
So Rochelle, what are same question to you about how do you put those goals into action? Maybe have you set any goals for your business, and then how did you put those into action? You're on mute, Rochelle.
I'm gonna get this thing together today, y'all. So of course I've set goals for my business. Like we were chatting backstage per se before I started, I mentioned that one of my business goals for this year is to really network more, build relationships, because I want to grow. Like, I don't want to be a solopreneur forever. I want to be able to take my kids on trips and travel, and my business is still running efficiently. In order to get there, I have to understand, what does my business need? So literally the last 2 nights for me, I don't know if this happens to any other awesome business owner on the call, like you just get these clarity moments in the middle of the night, like I gotta jot it down. Like, oh my gosh, like I literally feel like I've been pulling all-nighters for the last night and a half because I'm in my clarity zone right now. But when you Lord, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so yes, I set goals for my business. So one of my goals, like I mentioned, is to really build relationships, because I want to grow and I don't want to run my business myself. So I start thinking, okay, if I don't want to do this, who do I need to partner with? Who do I need to network with? That type of thing. So that's what I'm living right now. Okay, so if I have to backtrack and answer the question, how to take action on meeting a goal, what I typically do, especially if I'm setting a goal that literally I'm entering into a zone that I know nothing about, I'm a researcher by heart. Google is my best friend. Okay. So I'll Google I'm always going to go to marketing because that's just how my brain does. Like, say, for instance, I want to do email marketing. I never done it before. I'll say, how to do email marketing, or what does it take, or, what is, and most importantly, because they say in setting goals, it needs to be measurable, right? You said specific. So I'll say, what is the benchmark for such and such industry for email marketing? And I'll figure out what it is. And then if I've never done it before, I'll at least, say, okay, that's what I'm going to shoot for, right? But then for other things, what I'll do is I'll walk through the process of what it takes to get it done. Okay, so let's just say I want to host an event. Okay, and I'm like, okay, I know I want to host this event in May. What do I need to do? I need to promote it. What does it take to promote it? Okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I walk through the steps and I just kind of like brainstorm and jot it down. And before you know it, you got yourself a whole checklist of what it's going to take to complete those goals. Why is that important? Because it's going to keep you focused. Then you can take a calendar and work backwards. Okay. If my event or my goal is this date, and the very first thing I need to do is create the content or create what's going to happen. Oh, that needs to happen 3, 4, 5, 6 months out. And then you could put it on your calendar and then start, eating that elephant one chew at a time or something like that.
Absolutely. You can't boil the ocean. Yeah.
I love that phrase. Yes, I heard you say that before.
Yasmin, I'm pretty sure you're a type A, and I know that we have plenty of other type A's in here too. So how do you take action on your goals?
It's so great to see how well you know me, Adam. Yes, I am very much a type A. And so for one, I always say, put pen to paper, or if you are a bit more digitally inclined, type up something. It could be on your phone, on your computer or whatever, in Google Docs or wherever you type notes. Type up whatever objectives you have, and make sure they are, as Dan mentioned, a spectrum, right? From short term to intermediate to long term, from smaller goals to medium-sized goals to really, really big aspirational goals. And then really think in terms of chronology, right? Time is a wonderful thing to have, but as we know, we don't get it back once it's lost. So you always have to be thinking towards how can you maximize your time. And I find that perhaps it may be very old school to primarily rely on my calendar, but I absolutely do. I try to consider the goals and the objectives that I have individually in my role, and then those of my teammates, and we come to the table together. Of course, right now, not literally. We get on Zoom and speak to each other, and then we each go over what we have to do. We each kind of estimate how much time it's going to take to do whatever the activity is. And like clockwork, we all see that we're all wrong, right? We negotiate, okay, maybe it's not going to take a half an hour to do this. Maybe it's actually going to take 10 minutes, and then something else is going to take 45 minutes. And so, different things work for different people, but for us, what works is articulating what needs to get done, providing an estimate for how much time it's going to require to get it done, and then negotiating amongst ourselves, okay, this is what seems reasonable, and then coming back to it to see if we actually accomplished our goal, and not only accomplished it, but accomplished it in a way that's at least satisfactory based on whatever the objective is. So what I often do, parallel to that is, and I'm a quote person. Okay, I love those quotes. I love for Christmas getting in my stocking, years long, quote book or whatnot. I will right next to putting on my calendar, like do X, Y, and Z, put a quote next to it, right? Because while we want to be conscious and conscientious of time, we also want to make sure that we're not being ruled by it and that we are being mindful and grounding ourselves. So I would say that. I would say, time is precious, and focus on it so that you can actually accomplish and put your goals into action. But also take a step back to evaluate that, all this is part of a bigger picture day in and day out. Your goals should be adding up to something, and just make sure that you always have somewhere, whether it's on your calendar, whether it's a picture on your phone, on your fridge, what that end game is.
That's great. I think we all, your goals should add up to something. I love that. I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs and leaders, we think that we have to focus on output, like how much can we do, rather than outcomes. What am I actually achieving through all this work? Is it just, getting things done, or am I actually making an impact where I want to make an impact? So, and setting goals is necessary in that. And Yasmin, if I could, can I call you out for your coffee mug? Do you want to share your coffee mug with the group? It's very on brand for today.
Can you see it? It says, "Get it done."
Get it done.
Get it done. You can find it at TJ Maxx or probably Marshall's for about $2.99.
Great plug for TJ Maxx and Marshalls. So, Rochelle, I'm going to go to you for this next question. And this is like right in your line of work. So, how do I measure my progress? When I set a goal, how should I be measuring my progress? What should I do to check in with myself to make sure I'm headed where I want to be headed?
So piggybacking off of what I said earlier, when you identify what the benchmark is, maybe average, if it's something you've never done, start there. And then you give yourself time frames on when you're going to check back in. I use a planner, and this is like a really awesome planner. Let me take all my paperwork. Well, I'm going to be authentic here. So it's the I don't know if you all can, I have quotes on it too, Yasmin. I'm working on consistency, so I have to remind myself. So I've written on it because self-improvement, but it's the high performance planner. The thing I love about this is every day it reminds me of a journal. I write down my goals and I write down like what I want to accomplish. Then I go back at the end of the week. It has me go back and evaluate what I've done and how well do I score myself. Like I'm grading myself, right? The cool thing I like about this, it's not just centered around like the measured goals. Like if I say, hey, I want this many sales, or, I want to connect with this many people, it also is bringing together the whole holistic part of life. Like how well am I doing as a parent, as a mother, as a friend? So when you talk about how do I measure your goals, one, you first set it. Two, you then continuously check in. You set that time frame, okay, I want to connect with, 20 people this month. How do I break it down? Okay, 20 times 4, I believe is 5 people per week. Okay. All right. So, and then maybe I'll make it down, break it down a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to connect with minimally 1 or 2 people a day. So if you set those goals and you break it down like that, and maybe I would say at the end of the week, I'm gonna go back and make sure, or maybe I'll say Thursday, right? Did I connect with those people? If not, then I know Friday, I better get to it. So it's just really just setting the goals, making it like giving it a quantifiable number, and then, holding yourself accountable, most importantly.
Thank you, Rochelle. That planner leads me into a question I want to pose to the chat, and then I'm going to talk about something Dan and I talked about yesterday. But how do you all, I'm curious how everybody organizes themselves. Do you have it in your phone? Do you have a calendar on your fridge? Do you have a planner like this? Tell me in the chat how you stay organized. I'm curious to see how everybody in here stays organized and keeps on track. I know that yesterday, Dan and I were talking about the greatest Christmas gift I've ever received, which was the Rocketbook Fusion. And it's like $35. My better half got it for me. And it's an erasable notebook. It writes with these special ink pens. It feels just like you're writing on, pen and paper, but you can erase it with a microfiber cloth. And instead of having like 5 notebooks floating around or having to worry about, okay, is it in, if it's in my phone, is it in, Google Drive or whatever, or where's all this stuff? It's all in this erasable notebook that then I can, get rid of and start over the next month or the next project or whatever. So, but Dan, how do you stay, how do you check in with your progress on goals? How do you do that?
Yeah, so basically jumping from notebook to notebook. But so basically what I do is I try and take that holistic approach, right? I mean, it's a combination of am I putting out quality, and am I doing and accomplishing things that are making me achieve my ultimate goal faster? And so that really comes down to almost that gut feel. And so for me, yeah, I do use at the beginning, I will go and do like whatever industry I'm looking to get into. I will do a Google search and figure out, let's say, what's the industry standard for cold email open rates and reply rates. And I will try and engage how well I'm doing based on that number. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I would rather make sure that there's also quality with the quantity. And so I really kind of do every morning I wake up a little bit of a mental check-in where, how am I feeling today? Am I just feeling like I'm getting really burnt out? I'm worn down. I don't even want to go into that office and start working. And that really helps me gauge where mentally I am in the process, because it's very easy to get trapped in this process of setting goals, accomplishing them, setting goals, and then it starts to spiral, and all of a sudden before you know it, you have 30 goals that you're trying to tackle, and now you're starting to feel bad about yourself because you're not getting to them. But maybe it's because you've set too many goals, or maybe you've set goals that are not a priority. And so what I like to do is every day do another, this mental check that basically allows me to say, all right, I have the goals that I've set. Are they important? Are they really getting me to where I want to go? Or is it kind of a waste of time? Is it barking up the wrong tree? And then I take that and make sure that I'm staying within that industry standard that I originally looked up, to make sure that I'm making that progress without getting to the point where I'm so burnt out that I don't do any of the goals, because then I'm sitting still instead of, I'd rather be moving forward a little bit than standing still, not moving at all.
It's so important. That's something I didn't even think about as we planned this out, was that, setting goals and tracking them can help prevent burnout, because you are taking stock of what's important and making sure that you're focusing on that, and, making time for those important things. So Yasmin, how do you track that progress? And I'm going to give you a second question. Have you ever set a goal and failed in achieving it? Have you ever not reached a goal you've set? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so in terms of tracking progress, again, because I'm type A, I actually have like calendar alerts, like deadlines, and it'll literally ring, right? Having worked in the mental health field, perhaps I focus too much on, like, Pavlov's work, but I have a ton of alerts that go off on my cell phone, and then I have to take stock of what's going right and what's going wrong. And yeah, I would say in the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, even before I started Arkatecht, when I had my first business, which was really a solopreneur business, I tried to boil the ocean, so to speak, which is to say that I tried to do way too much. And when you try to boil the ocean, as it said, it's always going to be impossible, right? Because you quite literally, you can't do it. There's not enough energy. There's not enough time. There's not enough of everything, right? Resources help to do it. But if you perhaps try to boil just like a pot of water, or a cup of water, whatever it is, you actually start to get somewhere. And as you do it more and more, speaking to Dan's point about, it's not about just one objective or the same objective, it's about stacking objectives with increasing difficulty, that you start to see, okay, I'm starting to get ahead, or the business is starting to get ahead with these objectives. So calendar alerts. My kids, who you may or may not hear in the background, are also really helpful in the sense that kids will always let you know, perhaps pets too, kids will always let you know when your time is up, right? Doing your work, like, okay, that's it, it's time to move on. And so that helps too. But on a more serious note, I would say in terms of your objectives and goals and tracking them and making sure that you're staying on target, whether it's your children, whether it's friends, family, loved ones, whoever it is, make sure that there is honest dialogue about when and where you need to stop in terms of ensuring that you have time and space for non-business activities, because ultimately, if your business is going to be successful, you need to have the wraparound support of those closest to you. So that's something that absolutely should be a part of your understanding of and planning for business objectives.
Wonderful. So how do you three deal with, and I guess I'll go over to Dan first. How do you guys deal with setting a goal and then not reaching it? How do you deal with that quote unquote failure?
Yeah, so I mean, that's I think a really great question, right? Because if you're going to grow, you're going to fail. That's just how it's going to go. And so what I personally like to do is, depending on how big the failure is, I like to give myself kind of a grace period where I just kind of, put things down for a minute and reevaluate what happened, what went wrong, right? Was the goal too ambitious? Was the goal too out of line in the sense of who I am as a person, and not really something I loved and cared about? But I basically take stock as to why I failed. And from understanding why I failed, I can then make sure that going forward, I don't make those same mistakes when I'm setting the next goal that I have. And you also have to understand and really appreciate the fact that if you are going to be successful and if you are going to achieve goals, you're going to have to learn along the way what to do and what not to do. And failure is life's best tool when it comes to teaching. And so it's something that every successful person goes through, and to not beat yourself up about it, and to really just give yourself that grace and say, you know what, I tried something new, I failed, big deal, move on, pick yourself up, go forward with more knowledge based on what you have tried, and understand that because you tried something new, you're not starting out at point zero anymore. You're starting out at a different point further down this path that allows you to, at least for me, pick myself up a little bit easier every time and put one foot in front of the other.
Rochelle or Yasmin, how do you guys deal with failure?
Yeah, so I agree a lot with what Dan said. And I'm looking this way because I'm like taking notes. I don't know if this is some good stuff. I'm taking notes on the backside. But I do exactly what Dan does. I analyze. That's naturally how my brain works. I'll go back and say, what did I do? Like, what did I do wrong? What didn't work? And when I do that, I also ask the honest question, did I do the right work? Because one thing I'm sure all of us could kind of, connect with the phrase of we get caught up in busy work, right? It was something that Dan said earlier. You said when we were talking about goals, and you said quality over quantity. I think a lot of times we get caught up in busy work, checking off the tasks, but I think it's very important for us to prioritize our goals and prioritize our tasks. And there's a book, I'm such a reader, y'all. I'm a nerd on the low. There's a book called The One Thing. I don't know the author. And basically the whole concept of that book was, what is the one thing you can do that will probably be, if that's all you did, it might knock out all those additional to-dos, right? What is that one thing? That is one way, one strategy you can use to identify what you should be working on. Okay, so I just wanted to circle back around and chime into that, because that has helped me to make sure I'm doing the right work. So, but when I have failed, yeah, I go back to the drawing board. I kind of look at, did I do everything I set out to do, right? After we made that checklist of what, did I do it? Did I do the right things? Did I do it enough? Did I do it consistently, right? If there's any perfectionists on the line, you're probably very hard on yourself. I am very hard on myself, because if I said I'm going to do it, if I want to touch it, I want it to turn to gold. You get what I'm saying? But how do I overcome that on the human side? I remind myself that just because I've failed, I am not a failure. You know why? Because I'm still on my entrepreneurial journey. I'm still moving. I don't care if I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry moving forward. I don't care if I feel embarrassed. I'm going to feel embarrassed moving forward. That's why in this business of entrepreneurship, we got to have courage, and we have to understand and know ourselves. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel. Jahida said something so important. I think she was chiming into this part of the conversation. Be kind to yourself. Yes, you got to be kind to yourself, but if you're anything like me, I have, we all have these two voices. I have this one voice like, it doesn't talk too well to myself. Like, girl, you really did that. You ain't do much, huh? And the other one is like, no, you all right, bro. You know what I mean? We're going to get up. We're going to dust it off. You play sports. You used to this. You failed. We're going to get back up and go right back at it. We have to identify those voices, and then, make sure we hold on to the one that is going to show us love and push us forward. And outside of ourselves, make sure we have our champions in the corner. See, it's good to make sure you have people around you that's going to cheer you on, but also that's not going to be a yes man, a yes woman, but that's also going to help you to remember who you are, what you are, and how far you've come. I feel like I am preaching over here. Okay, so but all of these things are important, because like my number one fan is my fiance. He knows me. Like, I'll get down on myself. He'll be like, bro, really? Remember, you a mom first, right? That's a full-time job 24/7. Like, why are you? Come on now. You're built for that. You get what I'm saying? So it's good to make sure we have that. So after we got ourselves together, we shake that off. We don't let that hold us back. I say 24 hours, and if you still can't shake it, you need to, maybe dig deeper and figure out what other core things you're dealing with and overcome that. Because in this thing of entrepreneurship, is definitely going to expose some internal things that you need to work on. This is a growth journey. This is a growth journey. So, as we fix ourselves inside, then we can, deal with all the other things that this entrepreneurial journey is going to throw at us. So how do I deal with failure? I check it. I analyze. I, deal with whatever I'm dealing with, dust myself off, pick myself up, and keep going.
The
Can I just
Vpro
chime in
Church
for a
of
minute?
Sales and Marketing. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with both Rochelle and Yasmin, but sometimes the way I look at failure is that there are steps to success. Just a quick story, the first contract that we wrote, I have a moving company, federal contract. I poured over that, I put my life and soul into writing that proposal, and submitted it. And we were not chosen because our bid was too high. But I learned from that. And what I learned is, okay, that built-in cost that made ours so high was because we were renting our trucks at the time. So the lesson I walked away from that with is maybe it's time to start looking at getting our own equipment. And to me, that was a huge learning experience. And that's the way I deal with the failures that I deal with. And somebody mentioned the phrase right work. We spent a lot of times on the front end coming up with a set of guiding principles. There's 6 of them that we laid out. Every task that we do, everything that we do falls within one of those guiding principles. So I always know that I am on the right track. So relative to goals, my particular goals, I do have a partner, but the goals that I'm working on now are funding, certification, marketing, and staffing. Where my issue is which comes first. I'm torn between going full-fledged in the marketing because I don't have the team in place that I really need now. I don't want to get the business unless I can field a cohesive team that works well together and has the right attitude to get the job done and do the best work that they can. So that's kind of where I have a conflict. How much time do I spend in marketing versus trying to go out and develop and get a good, good employees? That's all.
Joy, thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah, I was actually.
You're welcome. But I'm finding this very interesting.
Yeah, so I think you actually bring up a really great question. I think very often we're put in these situations, especially as business owners, where we have limited resources and we're trying to go in maybe two different directions, but they're not synergistic in nature. But I think one of the things that I've always found beneficial is to do the one thing that makes you go faster, right? That makes your boat go faster and lets you go farther. And if that means, even if it's a little bit, right? So maybe the marketing side allows you to build this really great brand that attracts those people to you, right? So now all of a sudden you're attracting those quality workers that you're looking for to grow your business. Maybe by sitting there and spending that time on the converse side to find those people and build those people without the marketing, maybe all of a sudden word of mouth becomes the way to go, right? So basically, I think you have to ultimately ask yourself, which one of these things is just going to make me go a little bit faster and a little bit farther in your mind, and then try it and just go in that direction. Because otherwise, I think you're just going to be sitting there asking this question over and over and over again until when, I don't know. But by just picking one direction and saying, in my gut, I know this is, I can work with this and it's going to take me a little bit further and farther. I don't think, as long as you know in your heart that's the right way to go, I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that I've been therein lies the risk. We talk about the risk in business. Our sales shot up in July, August, and September. And we were able to meet every goal, take on every job, and complete every job with good results. But I tell you, I was stressing. Are these guys going to get this done? Are they going to show up, et cetera, and it's a risk. So I'm doing the marketing and that was as a result of word of mouth. I just looked at a proof that we're now going to do a print ad. And, I've been, okay, do I send this today? And, what do I have in my file relative to applications for employees? And are they going to fit if we get this work? And so therein lies the real risk. And I think I'm managing it okay, but I have to tell you, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, if I can just interject one, I wanted to say, I think I think all of what Rochelle said a couple minutes ago really is applicable to this situation too, as well as what Dan said. I think, it's the chicken or the egg, right? But I think from my perspective, and I did just go creep onto LinkedIn and check you out, Joy, okay, to see how you even framed your business. And when you spoke about it, you said that you have a moving company, and yes, technically in the old school sense, I'm sure you do, but the words that you used, which is your own marketing, right, on your LinkedIn page, told me that in so many ways you have a wellness company, because a couple of the key points you hit on was that you help people move during, I think you said emotionally sensitive or turbulent, or at least that's what popped in my head, time. So older people, perhaps messy divorces or split ups, perhaps intimate partner violent type of situations. So I say that to say, you can market yourself and your business in such a way that, as Dan just mentioned, and he mentioned wisely, you are able to capture both new customers as well as people who don't feel that working for you would be a job, but to be a calling. I mean, helping people in those particular situations, that goes beyond just doing certain tasks for compensation. That's like, as it's termed in certain, communities, God's work, right? That's the nitty gritty work that really goes to the core of what makes us human and what makes us caring. And so I would say you can, and I hate this saying, the kill two birds with one stone, Lord. One of these days I need to look up how that came about. But I would suggest, one, reaching out to somebody who's really well versed in social media marketing, right? I found that even though I am a millennial, which everybody likes to talk about the millennials, I am very far removed from a lot of the newest hip stuff, if I can say that, right? And so one of my teammates is a recent college graduate, and she's phenomenal, and she has a really wonderful way of seeing things in a way that I'm unable to. And I think that's in great part because she just got out of school, and so she's learning, or she's recently learned these new tools and resources, and that coupled with my own life experience, it makes for a great collaboration. So you can reach out to universities. You can reach out to local chambers of commerce to see who they have interning there, to get a start on who could, one, help you with your messaging, so that the messaging really gets to the human part of why your business exists and why it deserves to exist in its current shape and then expand. And then you could also do that to get in place people who are doing the actual labor of moving people. But even those people, if you frame it a certain way, whether they're carrying 5 pounds or 500 pounds, it's going to seem like they're carrying nothing, because they're going to be in it for the mission rather than for the compensation.
You're absolutely right, and you've got me to thinking. The other side of that is one of our guiding principles is to, quote, elevate our community and promote self-sufficiency through job creation and or positive role modeling. So we had tried reaching out to several not-for-profits who run rehab programs, who are working with those that are underemployed or not employed, and got some great people. But there are all these other barriers, and we were willing to overcome the barrier of transportation. Don't worry about getting here. We'll come get you. We'll take you to the job site. We'll pick you up, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just not a stable workforce. So trying to marry that calling, helping those individuals, high stress moves, emotional moves, supported by movers that have all these other issues. I don't know, and I'm looking at that now again. I'm going back to readdress. But you're absolutely right, and we started to do that. And I've started to look at certifications within the area, because they have certifications relative to working with the elderly, working with the disabled community, et cetera, et cetera. And that's been part of what I've been doing too.
I'm not sure if I had missed something, because I'm trying to make sure I understand. So your biggest challenge, you feel like, is you're trying to understand like what you should be doing, like if you should put more efforts to marketing, or if you should put more efforts to building, in a sense, that team that can fulfill your service. Is that kind of like, is that summing it up?
Basically, I think it's a balancing act. I don't want to bring on somebody, well, I'm not going to say full-time, but part-time, 35 hours, let's say, and not have the work for them. On the other hand, I don't want to go out there and market and start getting requests for jobs and not being able to fill, to do those jobs with a well-trained, cohesive team. So that's where my dilemma is.
Okay, so this is my take on it, and I'll try to keep it short for time. So always, the way I approach marketing, there's two types of marketing in a sense, right? You can market just to say, this is what I do, or let people understand, who you are. Then there's the marketing post that's really soliciting the service, okay? I tell everybody, marketing, like just for brand wise, that is a marathon. That's going to take time. You get what I'm saying? So it's probably, and this is a thing that a lot of clients, at least I work with, that want marketing, they think, hey, if I just put this brand type marketing out there, that an influx of clients are going to come. That is probably the biggest facade for marketing. So you can definitely still do some marketing so people know you exist, right? But you don't have to say, hey, we're looking for clients right now, this, and that. You want people to start to understand what you do, so you can do that, okay? I'm thinking about a process, right? So, once you start marketing, the other thing you can do, if you're like, I'm still trying to develop this team, maybe start thinking outside the box, right? Maybe start thinking of a linear, I don't know if they call it linear relationships. Like, what are some other companies that maybe that's what they do? They have a recruiting business for companies like you, or this is the world of freelancers and contract work. Like, there's so many people unemployed that's willing to do the work, and you can position and say, listen, right now, and this, I believe when we can just sell the vision to people, they'll buy in, okay? So even if you start doing the work and say, listen, we are growing, and we're looking for these things, these qualities. Make sure you tell people what you're looking for, and say, listen, I can't promise work right now, but we're on track to have this available at this date. Are you open to being on our list of contract personnel? You get what I'm saying? Because that kind of takes that pressure off of you, that you have to hire an employee and you have to have this set amount of hours for them to feed their family. Listen, just one step at a time. I started my business as a freelancer. There's a lot of people that are really getting into this idea, like, I don't want a W-2, and for the business, it's like, I don't want the W-2 either, because I don't want to pay all that insurance and all that stuff. So it could be a win-win. Just start somewhere, take small, and as long as you be honest and transparent with whomever you're talking to, you can work it out.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Joy, if you would, in the chat, if you can direct message me your contact information, we might be able to help you with at least the math portion of this and help you make a decision. But if you want to send me your email or phone number, we can partner you with somebody to help out.
Okay, great. So thank you.
Thank you for the conversation starter. That was great. I'm sure that
thank you.
A lot of business owners on the call today have experienced something similar or will experience something similar. So that was great. I want to close by posing one final question to the panel here, to Dan, Yasmin, and Rochelle. And I'm going to start with Yasmin first. What is one goal? We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the middle of some craziness going on. As a business owner, what's one goal that I should have, or one area that I should focus on in 2021 to move my business forward and to make my business better?
Okay, so this is not going to be one of Yasmin's new agey answers, as I like to call them. This is one of Yasmin's very, very corporatist, legalistic, whatever answers. And this comes from my background, my degrees in political science and international affairs. One, reading is always fundamental, but especially this year when there is a watershed moment, to use that term, of legislation on a number of matters. Make sure that you are up to date with that legislation. Do not make any moves, big or small, really, until you really understand what's going on in your industry. Because it will be extremely painful if you are ignorant as to the changes that have recently been made or that are underway. And you could find that information in a number of places. One that comes to the top of mind, which is free to access because it's taxpayer funded, the Federal Register, where you can see proposed rules and regulations that are coming through the pipeline. And the beauty of the Federal Register is that there's a commenting period of a certain number of days. I think it's like 30 days maybe, or under, where the public can say, yeah, this is my concern, or these are my concerns, these are my suggestions for this, and have your voices heard. There's some other resources which I can forward to you, Adam, and if there's a follow-up email for this, you could send out. But make sure that you are aware of the ever-changing, but especially in this climate, rules and regulations that are impacting your industry. So, like I said, not a a nice, warm, fuzzy answer, but it is what it is.
No, that's a great answer. I used to work directly in regulatory compliance, and I know that is so big. So yeah, guys, know what's going on in your industry, even especially with the paycheck protection stuff. Even just understand what's going on with all that. So read and know what to read, I guess. Rochelle, what's one goal the business owner should have? One thing we should focus on in 2021.
Right. Yasmin, we need a whole session just on that, because I felt like that went over my head. Like, what legislation? So we need podcasts, get on Adam's podcast or something. Go into detail so we can get educated there. I used to work in the financial field for about 5 years, and the first thing I thought was diversify your income. So, because it's the same theory. One thing I've learned with this pandemic is ever changing. And you have to make sure you're having a business, and your goal is to leave a legacy and have it sustained. You need to be able to have different streams of income that your business is able to thrive off of. Because let's just say, one, you lost it. I look at it as a chair. You got 4 legs. If when you lose one leg, you're still sitting. Right. I think we just need to figure out and get creative and see what other ways can we bring services. Well, I work with service-based businesses, so my mind always works there. But I'm sure if you have a product, there's other, you could offer different things. Just figuring out different ways we can make our foundation stronger. So no matter what tornado, tsunami, pandemic, whatever happens, we can still have this business and make it a long-term, venture.
That's great, Rochelle. Diversifying your revenue streams. That's awesome. That's great. So yeah, more products to increase, different areas of your revenue can come from. That's wonderful advice, Rochelle. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, so to actually build off of that, talk to your customers. Talk to them, get to know them, understand what problems you solve for them or not solving. And from there, that's how you can start diversifying, right? Maybe there's something you sell, and just by talking to them, you can learn pretty quickly, you know what, if I had this other service or product, they would also buy this too. So it's as simple as get to know who your customers are, talk to them, and make sure that you're solving the problems that they're facing.
Wonderful, Dan. That's great. Talking to your customers, knowing your customers, what do they want, how you can do better. Well, I want to thank our panelists today, Dan, Yasmin, and Rochelle. Thank you so much for coming in. I had a lot of fun. I hope everybody else had a lot of fun here and learned a lot. I have 2 pages of notes written down, so I'm actually going to be able to take a picture of those and upload them to my notes app and then erase them because I use that notebook. So, but no, this was fantastic. Thank you guys so much. A round of applause for you guys. Thank you. I know that everybody else is clapping, but I want to remind everybody that we have She Means Business starting in March 30th. You can sign up for that. You can check that registration out on Facebook and our website and all that. You probably have an email in your inbox with it as well. So She Means Business is coming up in late March. Register for that. There's a open house for it in mid-March. Jahida just put the link to She Means Business in the chat right now. So go there and sign up for that. Anybody who's already in Beyond Profit, remember that is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5:30 to 7. We've had 2 incredible classes this week. Last night was just a ton of information. It's really becoming a master's class on nonprofits. And I'm getting a few questions here. Name of the pad, it's the Rocket Book Fusion. This is not a sponsored ad or anything, but it's the Rocket Book Fusion. And I know that Rochelle talked about The One Thing by Gary Keller. And then Rochelle, we had a few questions. What was the notebook you mentioned? I know you put it in the chat, but what was the notebook?
I did put it in the chat, but it's called the High Performance Planner. If you just go to Amazon and type in the High Performance Planner, it'll pop up.
And Jahida just put it in the chat. Look at that. She's our executive producer here. I love it. So
I got this face down packed.
yeah. Thank you. That's it for us today. We have another Friday Forum coming up in 2 weeks. You'll be getting an email about that. It's going to be all about how to make some money. So we'll be talking about making money in 2021, and Maria's going to join us is going to join us for that. It's going to be wonderful. So thank you everybody for coming in today and hanging out with us. And I hope you all got a ton from this, because I know I did, and I'm the one who wrote this thing. So I got a ton. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Yasmin, and thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Thank you to my team at Pathstone, Dion and Jahida. Thank you guys so much for helping make this very smooth. So
Thank you.
And that's it, guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
And have a great weekend. Joy, thank you for the conversation. That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if you are aware, but I'm very familiar with Pathstone. Actually, I was a board member for the Enterprise Center.
I did not know that. I should know that. I'm going to write that down.
No, don't write it down.
Wonderful. Well,
but thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you. And we will see you all next time on the 19th. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Socially distance. Stay healthy. We'll see you all next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.